So today we'll be discussing about what to do in a situation whereby the chart doesn't have maze. If there is no maze on the chart, if the chart doesn't have maze, so what do we need to do? Initially, I've told us that the basic thing we need to do when the chart doesn't have a maze is to cast a new chart for that same query, because the lack of maze means that you are not spiritually guided, you are not spiritually connected. The question the querent asks, the question you ask, the question that made you casted the question you casted the chart for is not spiritually it is not spiritually connected. It doesn't tap, the answer wasn't tapped from the universal mind. You understand? Now, like I've told you that there are two basic way of checking maze. We have the mechanical approach and we have the spiritual approach. That was this is just a recap from the previous discussion we did. You understand? So there are two basic ways. We have the mechanical approach and spiritual approach. The mechanical approach is to check if all these things you have written, all these figures you have written, if they are well written, if if there is no mistake. There are cases whereby you are supposed to write two dots when you are forming, or when you are erecting a figure. When you are erecting a figure, there are cases whereby you are supposed to write a dot while you are writing, then you wrote two. When there are cases whereby you're supposed to write two dots and you write one dot. So that mechanical approach is to check if those things there is no error, there is no mistake. You understand? So that is the function of that mechanical approach of checking the chart error. So now the second approach is the spiritually a spiritual approach of checking error on the chart you have casted, which is called mace checking. Spiritual approach. This one too is also mace checking, because the mace we are talking about, this is house of the mace itself. This is house of authority. House 15 is house of authority, house of power, house of the mace, house of the word go ahead. You understand? So house 15 is house of authority, is the house of the mace itself. It's the one that give you a red. That is one of the reasons why it is the first thing you are checking before any other thing. You understand? So that is the house of the maze itself. So, but this is a maze for mechanical approach. You understand? So now we have what spiritual approach of checking the maze, which is to check if you are spiritually connected. In the process of casting, when you are sowing the seed, the seed that bet this particular five mother, with the process to which we got this four figure rather. So we did like this. We sow some seed, we make some marks. In the process of doing that mark, hitting your fingers on the sand in order to bring out these four mothers of a figure. Is that hand you are using to create that mark, is that hand spiritually connected? Is it spiritually connected? Is it connected with the universal mind? That is what we are checking with the checking of the maze. In the spiritual process, we are trying to check if that hand are spiritually guided. Because sometimes it is guided in the beginning, and sometimes it is not guided along the lines. Sometimes maybe when you start, the hand is spiritually connected. Sometimes when you are doing it, maybe your mind started thinking another thing. You understand? Or the current mind started thinking, oh, this is not the question I'm supposed to ask. I'm supposed to ask this. I'm supposed to ask this question. Those are the things that usually affect having maze or not, whether you are connected. You understand? Or maybe because this is not the question I'm supposed to ask. So I'm supposed to ask this question. Oh, I could have asked this question. My querent begins to think different things. Sometimes it's not the problem is not at the querent end. Sometimes the problem is at the geomancer end. That geomancer is thinking maybe why he's doing it, maybe he's talking or thinking about different kind of things. His mind is not connected. So if the mind is not connected, it automatically means that the hand will not be connected. That is one of the reasons why sometimes the chart will lack maze, or sometimes why the chart will not be connected with the universal mind. Another good reasons why sometimes a chart will lack maze is sometimes, though I've explained this in one of the blog posts I wrote on my page, one of the things I wrote on my on the page on my page, that another I explained it well there, but let me just give you a brief summary of another reason why the chart sometimes has me. Let's say current comes to you to come and inquire about something, or is seeking to an answer to a particular question, and that question maybe is a controversial things, or it has some some things has been done. Maybe let's say question is asking about a particular question, maybe it's a secretive question. Now the question is asking about maybe somebody, the person involved with that question, or the person the question involved around, maybe he has gone to do some spiritual something so that his secret will not be leaked out. You understand? Or sometimes maybe the parent himself is praying that, oh, please God, let these things turn out positive. Or maybe, do you understand? Maybe some spiritual something has been done. So when a child lacks meat, it sometimes means that, in fact, that is what it usually means, either from the querent or from. But sometimes it is not because of that. It's because either from the querent is having a disturbed mind, or the querent, the geomancer. But if the querent is not having a disturbed mind and the geomancer is not having everything aligned and it just still lacks me, that is usually the case. That, well, because if you know how to interpret chart very well, you can actually find out that, well, something spiritual has been done about the chart, the question, the query you are inquiring about. You understand? But even though you don't know, once you see that stuff, once a chart like this, that is one of the pointers. You understand? That's one of the things it is pointing to. That, well, some either the spiritual stuff might be just a prayer. Oh, maybe sometimes query is asking you a question and is hiding something away from you self. Do you understand? Sometimes it is not the query. Maybe the question the query is asking about, it involves some other parties, some other people, and that person is a spiritual man. Is spiritual something, or somebody, the person is a prayer warrior, somebody, the person that usually pray very well. So the prayer might be affecting the child, so it would then lack me to make it not connect with your universal mind. So now what I want to discuss today is that, well, when I've given you some of the reason why a child may lack mix. I get me. I've given you two basic reasons, or three reasons, either from the querent or the geomancy, the divine, and the person casting the chart. If it is not within that wall, it's automatically the other one I just mentioned. So that is just the brief some of the reasons why a child sometimes will lack mace. You understand? But so some spiritual something's going on beneath. So that is just that. Now, when a chart lacks mace, it means that, well, you have to cast another one. Do you understand? But now, instead of you, I want to, in this one, I want to show you how, instead of you to cast a new chart entirely, I want to give you a way of recreating a chart that doesn't lack, and that doesn't have a miss. I want to show you a method of recreating a chart that doesn't have a miss. Because sometimes, let's say the problem is between you or the question, the person asking the question. It means that, well, along the line when you started, maybe the first line you did, it is connected. The second line, it is not connected. The third line is connected. The fourth line is not connected. There's a network error. There's a connectivity error. I getting it. So if you want to know if it is just a connectivity error or not, or it is more the other reason I said, that is some spiritual something is approved. So if it is a connectivity error, you can know as well. You can know if the problem is connectivity, the lack of mail is a connectivity error or something. So how do you know? That means you have to create another chart. You will use this same chart you created to create another chart. Look at this chart you have created. Now let's say I didn't check if this chart has a miss, because I don't want to create another chart, because since it's not a serious chart, it's not as if I'm doing, you understand, another. So I just use the one for a discussion purpose. I didn't check if the chart has miss or not. I only check the mechanical approach, which is that one is automatically, because you have to first of all check what you have written if it's a balance. But spiritually I didn't check that. But let us assume that this chart as it is now, it doesn't have miss. Now how do we then check if it's just the lack of this maze, the lack of maze here is a connectivity error or not connectivity error, or the other one? So this is what you will do. This is you still need this same mother figure, this 4 figure, this one here. The way we generated this mother here is we use this to create this to get the fifth figure, and the same way we apply to get the rest of the figure. So now this same mother is the mother figure. This same mother figure is the one that we use to generate another table chart. Now if we then use that chart to create another, if that chart now has a miss, it means that what happened, the reason why the previous one doesn't have a miss is connectivity error. That is, the first row you did is connected, the next one is not connected, the third one is connected, there's a connectivity error. You understand? But so that is. But if the new one we then created, if it doesn't have Mace again, it means that what it is not a connectivity error. It is for it doesn't connect at all. You understand? It doesn't. That means that it was spiritual something that like I don't want to repeat myself. So that's about. So how do you then, if a child doesn't have a Mace, how do you then do another one instead of you creating another one entirely? So if you do this method I want to do and it still doesn't have a Mace, that means you have to start all over again. Do it another one. I getting it. But before you do that, so this is what you will do. So this is the mother figure that we need. This is the one we used to do. So this is what we do. You clean the rest and leave this one. You rub the rest and leave the. But not so I already know this figure here. So this is what I would have first of all clean this so I will not forget. So this is what you would do in order to generate the mother figure. Look at this figure. You deal with this one. These two figure. This is 1, 2. You write this 1, 2 here. 1, 2. This is another 1, 2. You write this 1, 2. So we have erected a figure. We have made a figure to stand. You have erected a figure from this one now. You have erected a figure from this one. Now the next one is what? This is 2, 2. So we write this 2. That is this first 2. You write this another one. This is the second 2. Then this one again, you write it out. And this one, you write it out. You have gotten another figure. Now we move on to this third and fourth. Hope you are following. You move on to this one, third and fourth figure. This is the first two I where you write it out. This is the second one, you write it out. This is the next one, you write it out. This is the next one, you write it out. You have gotten another figure. So this is the next one again. You write this, that is 2, 2, 2, 1. That is in case 2, 2, 2, 1. So we have gotten another mother figure. So that means that we have Toriki, Inkesu, Nasratu, Dahila, and Inkesu again. I mean, that is Toriki, Inkesu, Nasratu, Dahila, and what? What is it called? Inkesu. So you then take all these 4 figures, you take them back here. You can rub everything out and write this one out. So you can clean everything and rub this one out in order to get this one. So that I know, but in order to make it easy for me, I first of all generated them. So I will then clean them. I will now take all this one, bring them, now create the figure again. Let me do what I'm trying to do. So we have this 4 figure. This becomes our new mother figure. So all of them, they are coming here in order to now create the figure. So I will rub everything and write this one here. So this is the figure we generated, the one I wrote it down here. So this is it here now. So now we will then use it to create the whole model. Unlike if you want to get this new model, you will start by sowing the seed one after the other. You start by doing this, that, and that. So instead of it to regen, you start doing all of that. So you can easily use that same 4 model you have there initially, then to regenerate. Just like the way we did it, we had this and this. We erect a figure by doing this for that previous model. You understand, but then we erected a new figure. So we erected 4 figures model. So we then use this to create another we use this to generate a new entire table entirely. By doing this will let us know, like I've said earlier, this will let us know that the reason why in the previous chart that the reason why it lacked Mace, it's because there was a connectivity error. That is, I've explained, I don't want to repeat myself. There's a connectivity error. You understand? This is what we give up an edge. You understand that? Why the previous one lacked Mace. You understand? But if you just created a new one entirely by sowing seed again, you cannot tell. Maybe you cannot tell if it is connectivity error or there's there's a spiritual something that was going beneath it. You understand? Because that is it. There are many reasons why it just lack a Mace, but those are the 2 primary reasons why it chart lack Mace. So but by following this method, I just say you can tell the reason that there is a connectivity error. That is, your mind is not connected with the universal mind. Your hand is not connected. The hand you are using is not connected with the universal mind. You are just tapping. You understand, ba? So, but like I've explained, it means that when your mind is not connected, but this mind that we are talking about, it could be your own mind. It could be the person that is asking question that his mind is not connected. He's having a worried mind. So it is between either of you. There's no concentration that will then make you. There's no energy that you will use to tap into universal mind. Yes, and there's no right energy. So it is left. So it is moving back, forward and backward. You understand? The energy is moving forward and back. That is why there's a connective here. That is only if you have created this, generated this new mother figure. You have created, you have then used it to populate the whole chart, and you then see that it has missed. So if it has means, that is when all these things I've said apply. But if it still doesn't have means, after you have generated with this method I showed you, you have generated the new chart again, and it still doesn't have means again. So it is not a case of whether it is not the problem. It is not a connectivity issue from the geomancer or from the querent, the person asking question. It is what some spiritual things going beneath some things. The spiritual thing we are talking about, it could be that what the querent himself or herself is hiding something from you. Is no, is maybe no. There are some things that querent want to ask from geomancer, but that he or she is ashamed of. Do you understand? So he's having that, or maybe it's not praying that maybe you should not know or something. That usually cause the reason. So that is spiritual stuff I'm talking about. Sometimes if the question involve another party, another person, you understand? But so another person is a spiritual person, or the person has done some spiritual something, usually cause it. So that is when, if after doing this, generate the mother and still doesn't have means, that is usually the case. You understand? But if this new one is generated, so it is not spiritual something, it is between either the querent or the geomancer. So we then generate the whole chart. I hope this is clear to understand. So I've used the new the new one with that chart with that new mother's figure to generate the whole table. Can you see? I pause it so that I will do so that the video will not be too long. That was why I paused it, because I already believe that you already know how we generated this. This is the fourth figure, this is the fifth, and we know we do this to get to erect this one. We do this to erect this. You understand? Ba? So I hope you understand. So may God bless you. Thank you very much. May God bless you.